Gideon was having a bad day in Judges, and he cries out to God in Judges 6. It says, God, where are all the miracles which our fathers told us of? Did not the Lord bring, when they said, didn't the Lord bring us out of Egypt with all these miracles? Where are they now? Because it doesn't look like it, and we don't see you now, Lord. We're suffering, and we're being oppressed, and we're weak. Where's all the miracles? Where's all the, well, God ultimately says to Gideon, I paraphrase, he says through an angel, you want miracles? I will give you miracles, but Gideon, you're going to be part of the miracle. You better have faith, and take courage, because you're going to be part of the very miracle you're complaining about. And the word that Gideon uses in Hebrew is the same root word for Pelah. His name shall be called Pelah. Where are all the Pelah? Pelah. All those things that happened in Egypt were called Pelah. Or that was one of the words used to describe the parting of the Red Sea or the plagues, Pelah, the miracles that God did. Well, something about, so it says, so you can translate it as, his name shall be called the miracle. That's one of the names of Messiah. Messiah shall be called Pelah, and Messiah shall be called the miracle. And there's something about our faith. Other faiths may talk about a miracle that happened, whether it ever did. They may say that, but our faith doesn't just talk about miracles. Our faith is different. Our faith is based on a miracle. It's not based on a teaching. It's not based on a philosophy. It's not based on an idea. It's not based on any of the system or a law. It is based on a miracle. The miracle of God's reality, and the miracle of God's reality come down to our life. That is the miracle. He shall be called the Pelah. He shall be called the miracle. In other words, you can't take a miracle out of our faith and still have our faith. He is the miracle. You cannot explain this faith by somebody coming up with a philosophy. Other faiths, you can do that. Somebody comes up with something, or they come up with a system, or they say they got it from some supernatural, but you cannot do that here. The entire life of Messiah is a miracle. You cannot take it away or it doesn't exist. It's not based on, the teachings of Messiah are part of our walk. It's awesome, and these are the words of God. The example, all these things are, but that's not the center. The center is Messiah himself. This thing called Christianity or the Messianic faith is not based on the teachings of the Messiah. It's based on Messiah himself. He is the miracle. So therefore, his very presence is miraculous. He shall be called the miracle. And that our faith is not about trying to reform the old way, and it's not trying to improve yourself or anything. It's based on a miracle that comes into your life. And all the talk in the world doesn't replace the miracle. All the activities, all the programs, all the ministries means nothing without the presence, the miracle of God. Messiah is the miracle. So if you have Messiah, you have the Pelah, you have the miracle, you have the power of the miracle in you. And if you live your life, that's one thing, you have him, but it doesn't mean a lot if you don't live by him. Paul said to live is Messiah. I don't just believe in Messiah. I live in him, by him, through him. Everything. When you base your actions, everything you do on the presence of Messiah in you, you are living from a miracle. Then you have power in what you do. Everything you do, you have power in it because the actions you do come from the miracle of God. If you have God in you and you don't live from that, then it doesn't do a lot. And people need to look at your life and say, we cannot explain what happened to their life. There is nothing that can explain the change that took place. Not their past, not their circumstance, not their resources. Nothing could explain the change that happened except God, except a miracle happened. That is when you are showing the Pelah. When you are living not by your circumstances, you're living not by your past, you're living by the Pelah, the miracle that God, the God of the universe, came into your life. A miracle. And that's why, but the thing is, we have to live from it. When you do things, do it from him. When you think your thoughts from him, from his thoughts, as put on the mind of Messiah. When you love, don't just try to love, seek to get into his love and then love from that. That's where the power is. That people will look at you and say, a great miracle happened here. And that's why it doesn't matter. That's why we cannot be people who are living. You can't be a person who lives by your circumstance, because God is saying, I don't care about the circumstance. I want to show the world that it's not about your circumstance. So that when things look terrible, you still rejoice, and the world says, what's going on? There's a miracle in that life. And when things you should be depressed and yet you're encouraged, it's because there's a miracle there. Nothing explains it. God wants you to live a life that nothing explains except him. Numbers 15.